Could Rajon Rondo be the missing piece the Los Angeles Clippers needed to win the championship? Let's get into this. Rajon Rondo is nowhere near the player he used to be in Boston, of course, but recently he's really revived his career, especially when it comes to NBA playoff time. Rondo even got the nickname Playoff Rondo just due to the fact whenever he gets to the playoffs, his game improves significantly. Rondo doesn't put up great stats anymore just due to the fact he's not playing as many minutes because he's getting older in age, but when it really matters most in the fourth quarter and especially in the playoffs, he really steps up, and that's really why he's so valuable to NBA teams now. What Rondo is at this stage of his career is just a pure playmaker, which every NBA team needs, especially if you want to win a championship. When it comes down to it in the fourth quarter, every team needs a guy who could really calm everyone down and get the offense going in the clutch time. This season, Rajon Rondo signed with the Atlanta Hawks, and he wasn't really having a particularly good season with the Hawks, so the Hawks ended up trading him to the Clippers. And on the Clippers, I'm not expecting Rondo to have great statistical numbers, especially in the regular season, but I'm just hoping that he gets good chemistry going with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, so then when playoff time comes around, he could really step up. I think Rondo would work perfectly with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, especially Kawhi Leonard, just getting him the ball in the right spots and letting Kawhi work in the post and just be an absolute bucket in the playoffs. And also, if Rondo plays with the bench unit, he could definitely facilitate perfectly and kick the ball out to open shooters and also penetrate with the pick and roll offense. And also in the locker room, Rondo would be perfect because he's a guy who really knows how to win, because he's won multiple championships with the Celtics and the Lakers last season. And I know Kawhi Leonard won multiple championships as well, but he's more of a guy that leads by example rather than being an actual vocal leader, which Rondo is. I think when it comes down to it in the NBA playoffs, most likely I think it's going to be the Lakers versus Clippers in the conference finals. So if that were to be the case, I think Rondo would be a huge benefit to the Clippers. Besides him in the locker room, as well as being an amazing playmaker for the Clippers, Rondo is also still a pretty good defender in this league, and he could also help them significantly with that. They do already have Patrick Beverley, but Patrick Beverley isn't really a playmaker. He's more of just an irritant and a guy who's a pretty good defender in this league. But there are obviously a few flaws with Rajon Rondo's game. The biggest issue being his shooting ability. Throughout his whole career, Rondo was never really a great shooter, even a good shooter, honestly. But recently, his shooting has gotten slightly better, but it's not good enough to what it really needs to be in this year's NBA. But to his credit, when Rajon Rondo was on the Lakers last season in the bubble, when they were in the playoffs and especially in the finals, Rondo really stepped up his shooting ability and was starting to knock down threes when needed. I'm not expecting Rondo to shoot that well that he was in the NBA finals last year with the Lakers, because he was shooting at an extremely high clip, but I am expecting him when playoff time comes around and maybe towards the end of the regular season that he would get a little bit better from deep. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but in this new generation NBA, you really want every guy in the court to be at least a threat from deep, to the point where even if the guy's not shooting well that particular night, the defense still has to respect him and play somewhat on him, so then they wouldn't clog up the paint, and that would open up everything else you want to do on offense. But the Clippers also recently signed DeMarcus Cousins, and Rondo and DeMarcus have played together in multiple places like the Sacramento Kings and the New Orleans Pelicans. And I think that DeMarcus Cousins and Rondo played pretty well together, having a pretty good dynamic in the pick and roll offense. And I think it would be pretty good to have both of them come off the bench together, at least to start it out, because I think DeMarcus and Rondo off the bench would be a pretty good 1-2 punch. Obviously, Rondo wouldn't be a guy who scores too many points, but he can really work with DeMarcus in the pick and roll, and he has the IQ to kick out to open shooters and really break down the defense. And I think Rajon Rondo could potentially unlock DeMarcus Cousins and make him more like he used to be, rather than this new injury-prone guy that he has been recently that has been not really the best player. But overall, I think Rondo would be a tremendous help to the Clippers in their championship quest, but I don't think it would be due to his individual numbers. I think it would be more due to the intangibles that he brings to the NBA team. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Rondo could help the Clippers win an NBA championship this season, or do you think Rondo's too washed and won't help them? But anyways guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. Until the next time, peace out guys.